Hey guys, Matt here. This is my quick review of Send Help. This movie is directed by Sam Raimi, who previously directed the Evil Dead movies, the Spider-Man trilogy, as well as Drag Me to Hell. He's a famous director. And this movie stars Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. Now, going into this movie, having seen the trailers, I thought this was heavily just going to be a revenge movie. Pretty much you have a boss that's a real jerk. He gets stranded with this hard-working yet woman who's taken advantage of in the workplace on this island, and they have to rely on each other to survive. More or less, he becomes injured, he has to rely on her to survive. So that's what I thought this movie was going to be. But I knew that it was going to be about a 2-hour movie, so there had to be more to it. Now, having seen the movie, I can say that I was surprised. I was surprised by some things positively, some twists and turns, as well as the performance by Rachel McAdams, but also there were some things I was like, oh, that's not as good as it could be, and I expected a little more from Sam Raimi. Now, let me start with the acting in this movie. Rachel McAdams, she steals the movie in this role. She plays this really homely, unattractive, hardworking person in the workplace, in the office of Dylan O'Brien, who just looks down upon her. Everyone in the office laughs at her, snickers at her, doesn't think she's capable of a whole lot. Dylan O'Brien is the boss. He's a jerk. He's an a-hole. He's the cocky, smarmy guy that, when you think of just a corporate, white-collar, businessman that takes advantage of people and just is a real worm, is a real slime ball, that's who he plays in this movie. So his role was fine. Rachel McAdams is the one that stands out because they do a really interesting thing with her character where, when they first introduce her in the office, she's someone that you would almost be embarrassed to be sitting with. But then once they're on the island, once her secret skills and her abilities and her knowledge and her backstory and all that thing is fleshed out, she starts to become more attractive. And it's not just her personality, but it's the way the camera shows her, the way she lets her hair down, the way her skin almost seems to glow. Something really interesting this movie does, that I'll get to a little bit later, is her mindset, her persona, how she views things. So this movie makes Dylan O'Brien seem the same, look the same. His character doesn't really arc, even though there are moments where you're like, okay, so maybe the tables are turning, maybe things are changing, maybe the characters are evolving. Now, this movie lets you to believe that it's just about the power dynamic between Rachel McAdams' character of Liddy. Oh my gosh, I forget her name, but her initials are LL, and then her boss. Now, there's more to it, this movie. This movie is a lot like Castaway meets the movie Misery with Kathryn Bates and James Caan, where you have a character that needs another person's help to survive, yet eventually it becomes kind of like a cat and mouse game, where the playing field is leveled, and where one person, wants to keep the situation a certain way, you have another character that wants to kill the other character at every turn, and so it becomes quite interesting. You have elements of the location, of the scenery, where a character will say, hey, that area over there is not a place you want to go to, which, plays a role later in the film. Or there's a certain trail, or a path, or a cliffside that the characters travel on, or a plant that they make note of that, later kind of circles back to. And so there's a lot of interesting things that Sam Raimi does in this movie, but for the most part, it's a Sam Raimi movie. It's his style of making, comedic situations out of horror. He takes trauma and he makes it silly. He makes it very quick to where you can't even react to what just happened. He makes things gross. He makes things, extremely close up, extremely personable. And it's his style. He makes things silly. He makes things gross. And he's able to tell a good story. Here, I felt the story was just simply two characters having to survive alone on an island where one person's trying to make the best of it and the other one is just miserable the whole time. And it's a Sam Raimi movie. Dylan O'Brien's okay as the mean boss. Rachel McAdams is good as this survivor. This person that teaches, the other character how to eat certain things, how to build certain things, how to make a way of life using, basic primitive tools. And that part was really interesting. Me being a Boy Scout, I took a lot of those things like, okay, yeah, that's right, I'd forgotten about that. So there's a lot of survivalist things in here. There's not really a horror element. There's more of a, ooh, that would be a really crappy situation to be into. And, like I said, there's a cat and mouse game that happens later in the film where certain opportunities will come and you're like, okay, are things going to fall into place or are things going to go awry? And sure enough, it plays out how you'd expect. A really interesting aspect of this movie is Rachel McAdams' character and her mental state. There were a lot of moments that happened where you're kind of like watching it going, all right, this is too good to be true. Is she imagining this moment or did it really happen? And when you're on a desert island like that with, really no one else around, you're going to start to break. And so that was an interesting aspect to the movie that they didn't really focus on. They didn't really go into that of, are these events happening or are they just in the person's imagination? That's something I would have wanted more of, but this is a Sam Raimi movie. It's gross, it's silly, it's funny, it's going to have some tension, but in the end, it's going to be the butt of some sort of joke. So because of that, I'm going to give Send Help a C. Till next time, guys.